Morning guys, it's late November now, very, very cold. We had a bit of snow yesterday. I was leading a foraging walk and we had ridiculously high winds. We were foraging in a, look at me, I've just spilt coffee all over myself. That's gonna be a real treat when that's cooled down on my hands. We were foraging yesterday. I was leading a foraging walk. We had ridiculously high winds, had a really bad storm. There were trees down everywhere. And we were out in a wood foraging and the winds hadn't really dropped down that much. And there was snow coming in and it was coming like uphill. The wind was that strong. It's been a crazy few weeks. I apologise, there's not been a video for a few days. It really has been a crazy few weeks for us. So it was my wife's birthday last weekend and my wife doesn't ever make a fuss of herself, so we have to make a fuss of her on her birthday. Saturday was her birthday, so I actually had to lead a foraging walk then as well, because the week before we all had COVID, or the 2 weeks before we all had COVID, and you know, there was upsides and downsides. The upsides was we had to self-isolate at home for a few days, and that gave me the chance to make all of those Have a Go Homestead series videos that I did. There's more of those coming. I haven't finished those. But we've really struggled for time because when I went back to work, obviously I had a backlog of a week's work that I really had to get done, and I've just been absolutely flat out. Coupled with that, I had a foraging walk that was due to go when we were in lockdown, so I had to reschedule that for my wife's birthday. The day after my wife's birthday, the Sunday, we all went to Longley. That was absolutely fantastic, and I'll share with you a little bit about that later on. But yeah, we had a great day out at Longley, which is like this safari park here in the UK, insofar as we have them. Depending on where you live, it will seem either fantastic or ridiculous that they call it a safari park, because it's small scale compared to the ones that you find in South Africa. But no, it was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so that was a lovely day out. And then all last week again, I've just been absolutely flat out at work, just catching up on this backlog. And then we've had the news come in from the government that we're going back into chicken lockdown on Monday. That's tomorrow. So today is going to be dedicated to getting all of our chickens inside again. Now, if you live in the UK and you're not sure about what the rules are, basically they're the same as last year. And as of Monday, we need to have all of our chickens undercover, protected from wild birds. So that's what we're going to be working on today. My wife, bless her, she's so industrious. She's already out here somewhere doing exactly that. Let's go catch up with her. So my wife's been preparing both the polytunnels for what is going to be our Brahmas. Our Brahmas are going to be in here. So in here, all that was left in here was some of our pepper plants, which, you know, I'd already harvested from them. And I kind of just thought, well, I'll let them be, and anything else they produce, they produce. So I'll grab the last peppers that we've got out here. There are a few. And then the birds will come in and they'll live in here quite happily now through the winter. Obviously, we've got the windows and the door if we want to add ventilation for them. But to be honest, it's going to be quite cold now for the next few months. So don't need to worry too much about that. In here we had our cucumbers. There's a few cucumbers there on the floor, can you see? So the chickens can finish those off, the last of them. And yeah, they'll be quite happy in here. So this is going to be the Brahmas. These are our Brahmas behind me. So we're going to split them into males and females. The males are ready for harvesting, and we'll just get round to that over the next few weeks. And the females will be for next year's stock. The ones outside the house are less of a concern because they've already got a run that we can just enclose them in. And then all that's left are the brown laying hens, our Isa Browns, and they're going to go in the woods where we've currently got ducks. Now the ducks are ready for harvesting, so we're going to harvest the ducks today, and then the chickens are going to go in there. There's a fence that goes all the way around, and we're able to net the top of it quite easily, so that's the plan. My wife has been ridiculously busy for the last couple of days, actually, trimming all the foliage that runs around the fence. So we've got an electric fence that runs around the perimeter, and she's been trimming down all the foliage around that and just making sure that everything is fox-proof and predator-proof. Yeah.
Chicken that nearly died. Isn't it mad? Right, I put you in the lane things, girls. You know what they're for, don't you? It's quite a lot in one.
I think it's okay. In a couple of weeks, you can
split them up. Better than we don't have them cold.
Yeah. How's that, girls? So these are our female Brahmas. There's 13 of them, and that's a bit too many for this space, really. They'll be fine in here for a few days, and the plan is I will harvest. We've got 11 cockbirds. They're in the other polytunnel. They're all this year's birds. So the plan is I will harvest all of those guys in the next week or two, and then we'll be able to split these out, and they'll have double the amount of space. But for now, because this is all fresh ground, they've got plenty to entertain themselves with. They can find all the old cucumbers that are a bit soft where the frost got to them, and they'll enjoy these a great deal. But there's so much else for them to nibble on in here. They're already really happy birds. So that's the Brahmas done. It's very chilly, but what a lovely day. Look at the beautiful sky. Oh, so nice this time of year just to see the blue. But that's the Brahmas done, and we've cleared up where they were. So we're, in my head, as people who've been following me for a little while will know, we're being forced to move. We're not allowed to live here anymore after Easter. We have to move house. So we're going to be downsizing significantly. But coupled with that, you know, we also need to not leave behind a load of rubbish and mess, so we're taking the opportunity to clear up as we go. So I think in my head we've got kind of like some punctuation points. We have natural punctuation points in our lives, don't we, whether they're birthdays or holidays or whatever they might be. And for us, always, my wife's birthday, which is in mid to late November, is always the point at which you know, we don't think about Christmas before then. So, you know, now we're kind of thinking about Christmas. My wife's birthday having just been last weekend. And I think, we haven't said this out loud, it's certainly the case for me, and it feels like it's kind of the case for everyone. We're not really thinking about the move too much until Christmas. We're going to now enjoy this holiday period between now and Christmas. And then after the new year, that's when we'll really focus on the different areas of the garden that, you know, we have a responsibility to do things with and get looking right before we move out. So, you know, we're taking the opportunity because we're working there anyway. But otherwise, I think it's going to be after Christmas, our mindset sort of switches and we'll be way more focused on that. So that's all of our egg birds moved now, and they'll have all this space that we're in. It's massive tomorrow, but at the moment for one night we're going to keep them shut in their housing, because then that'll sort of impregnate on them where to go and roost tomorrow night. So we've got half of them in here in this house and half of them in that house down the end there. Now, it's not ideal and we'd never keep that many birds in that space long term, but for one night it makes a big difference to them. It means that tomorrow night when the sun sets, they won't be trying to roost up on the fence around the outside or up in the trees or whatever, where obviously a solitary bird can succumb to the cold or obviously predators. So by keeping them in their housing just for the rest of the day and overnight, tomorrow morning when we let them out, they'll go back there tomorrow night. That's the plan, and it's usually fairly successful. There'll be the odd straggler that we need to think about, but most of them will go back to wherever they've slept the night before. So the only thing we've got to do now is put the netting across the top, which shouldn't take too long. It's that same stuff we used last year. And while my wife's doing that, I'm going to go off and get some chicken feed, because something else we know from last year is your hat's around the side there, love. Is it's going to cost a lot more to feed them now that they're, well, for a few days actually they'll probably be fairly cheap to run while they're on this fresh ground, because there'll be bugs and stuff in here that they've not had access to. But after that they'll be a bit more to feed, a bit more expensive, because they won't be free ranging over such a bigger area and not over an area we can move them regularly, you know, particularly the Brahmas. So yeah, that's what we're doing next, going to get some feed. So I'm going to get the chicken food now, but gives me a good opportunity to talk to you about our little trip to Longley. It was awesome. It was a lovely day. It was so needed by our family. We've not had a holiday in I can't even count the number of years. I don't know the last time we went away for a week. We've had precious few days out, obviously, with the pandemic. It was the first real big family day out I can remember in a very long time. Let me just deal with that. That's rather annoying, isn't it? Yeah, it was the first family day out in a very long time, and very much needed. My youngest son, Torren, who most of you guys will have met, he had his birthday while we were self-isolating, so, you know, he couldn't do anything. He couldn't even have his gran and gramps come over for his birthday tea, which we do every year. So, you know, it was nice. It was really nice, and it was fantastic. We saw all the animals, obviously, you know, the giraffes, the lions, and all the, you know, the big animals. We got to feed some deer from the windows of our car, which was, again, really nice. It's you know, it's one of those things. Deer aren't a particularly exotic animal. We see them all the time, but it's not very often you get to feed them out your hand at the window of your car. So that, like I say, that was really nice. And they've got a small, like a farmyard bit there. My attention got drawn by the pygmy goats, as you can imagine. Just a really good day. We did the maze, we did all sorts. We did everything that we could do. A little boat ride there to see the sea lions. It was great. It really was a great day out, and well needed. But you know, that, like I say, it took up the whole weekend really, that coupled with my wife's birthday festivities and the foraging, and with lockdown and everything else, I just feel I've under so much time pressure. And at this time of year, the cold doesn't bother me. I'm out working today outside, midday now, it's just gone noon, it's about as warm as it's going to get, and it's up to 8 degrees, which isn't that cold, but you know, it's certainly not warm, but you know, it's cold enough that the water troughs are icing over. It's getting down below freezing. We live in a little frost pocket. The cold doesn't bother me, but it is difficult to motivate yourself when you get home and it's already cold and it's dark. It's very difficult to motivate yourself in that situation to go out and do anything in the garden, and it's virtually impossible to do any filming outside. I've done quite a lot of stuff, as you'll notice, from the kitchen lately, but yeah, that's, you know, it's just been a challenge. It's been a challenge coupled just with the number of hours I've been working. It's been quite physically demanding. So when I get home, quite often I don't feel like doing anything. I just want a little rest. So that's how it's been for the last couple of weeks. So that kind of explains the lack of content that I've been putting out. I do apologize, but if you're not familiar with it, we do also have a podcast. When I say we, I mean me. I also have a podcast. We've got the Self-Sufficient Hub podcast, and that is still being released 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. So if you're missing some Self-Sufficient Hub content, you don't have to rely on the YouTube stream. That's what you caught up with last weekend. I'm going to go and pick up this animal feed now, and I'll catch up with you guys probably after I've got home and had some lunch. Just had lunch and a coffee, and now we're going to get the chicken feed round, put that everywhere it needs to go, move all the feeders and drinkers. My wife's done most of that already, to be fair. I need to repair a hose because I ran over it earlier in the mower while I was mowing some of the grass, and yeah, so I need to repair that. And you'll notice I'm in the process of cooking a big Sunday roast. I've got a whole pork shoulder that I'm cooking in some white wine, and we're going to do that with roast potatoes and roast vegetables. Yum. Hello, girl. You nice and warm? That's everyone up here set till the morning, yeah? Now we need to just make sure they're all safe. So we run electric wire just around the outside, about, oh, I don't know, 300 millimeters, about a foot off the ground. So it's, or maybe lower. It's low enough so the fox can't get under it, and it wants to be, in an ideal world, about a foot away from the building. But here we're running them from spacers just off these posts that run around the outside of our polytunnels. And so the fox can't get close enough to dig, and he can't just hop over it and sort of work the other side of it. So we're going to set them up now, and luckily now we will be running all of our electric for the rest of the time that we're here from our mains fencer, so there'll be no more messing about with batteries and all those kinds of things. So that'll be nice when it's all set up. So We're going to spend a minute now working out where we've got our feed to, where's live, where's not, and just getting it all up and running. So we've got our feed currently from the house, comes up to this point. This point is live. We've just taken off the wire that was connected to it. So now we're going to run from here out to the polytunnels, which are just the other side of this hedge. And you see there? And then from there, we need to go up into the wood. So it should be fairly straightforward, to be fair. Sorry? Yeah. Yeah, perfect. So we're going to turn it on and test it now, fingers crossed. And while Jackie's gone to turn the water on, I might quickly have a look at this hose. You can see here, battered it with the lawnmower earlier. Got no business mowing the lawn this late in the year, really. We didn't get round to the last cut, so we've got to cut it like once more this winter. And unfortunately, because we left it a bit long, all the grass had grown up around it and I couldn't see it. I didn't even know the hose was here. And I went straight over it with the lawnmower. Luckily, fingers crossed, it should be a fairly simple fix. And you remember in my Christmas gifts video, I mentioned hose connectors. We've got a little drawer in the tractor shed full of all this type of stuff because it's invaluable and you just can't have too many. And far rather, for situations like this, to have the spare ones that you're going to need rather than having to run off and buy them when you need them, because that's when it's a real pain. And it should be as simple as that. That should be watertight now. Well, it works. So we've tested it here and it works here. You might want to stay tuned right to the end of this video because I didn't know how to work the tester and screamed like a girl when I got an electric shock. That'll be in the bloopers. So we've still got the second one to test up by the wood. Which is also all working. So that's great. All of our girls are moved, safe and compliant with the law. So good news, the repair's working, look, no water coming out. Bad news, I hit it twice. So it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon now. We've got about an hour of real light left before it gets very dusky, and this is shift change on a busy day like today, a day when my wife and I are working together to try and get quite a lot done. This is fairly typical for shift change. My wife's shift started a good couple of hours before mine this morning. She's an early riser and she would have been out here probably 6:30, 7 o'clock this morning, starting on all the things that were done before I even got out here. And my shift now carries on as she goes on in and quite rightly puts her feet up for a little bit. You know, it's easy to think, well, why is she stopping so early? 3 o'clock, there's plenty of day left, but you know, she works full time as well, and this is just a, you know, this is a hobby for us at the moment. This isn't how we pay the bills, and it's really important that we take the time that we need to rest as well as do all of these exciting things that we enjoy. You know, I love doing all this, and this the weather has been beautiful today. It's clouded over now, but it's a real joy, a real treat when you're out in the brisk cool air, but it's sunny. There we go. So I ran out of these. These are just straight connectors, that's all they do. They connect one hose to another. These are the sort of quick release things that you can put your gun on the end, your water hose or whatever on the end. I'll show you. So each of these we could take one of those water guns and put on the end, or you can take one of these and join the two together. So this is what I had. There we go. Right, got to turn the tap on and then fill up the goat's trough. They've been without water for the last few hours. You're wait and sit, are you? I don't believe it. I really don't believe it. One repair fixed, not leaking. Two repairs fixed, not leaking. You know what I'm going to do for now? So I'm just going to clear these leaves out of the trough. That's cold. And that's it for outside duties today. Next stop for me, I'm going to go in and finish cooking dinner. So I've got a really slow roasting shoulder of pork, got the whole front leg basically that I'm cooking as a roast dinner. I say the last of my outdoor jobs, I've got to harvest some vegetables. So we're going to have some swede, we're going to have some leek, we're going to have some cabbage, loads of amazing winter vegetables now just coming through in our garden, which is amazing. I've got my in-laws coming for dinner. We're still using the potatoes that we harvested, our main crop potatoes. We've still got, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks worth of those left. And you can see if we hadn't had that blight, my plan was to get a second crop of potatoes in, what we would call Christmas potatoes, that we'd be almost ready to dig up now. And if we'd been able to do that, if we hadn't had the blight, we would have been able to have potatoes right through until the spring. But it's just not worked out. That's it for today. And I have to say, it feels a bit like the end of an era. One of the first decisions we made when we first moved in here, and one of the first things that we enacted, was we started calling this space Poultry Paradise. And we had chicken hutches in here and our first hens in here, and obviously that gradually expanded and mutated and changed into what it was today. And with the chicken lockdown and our move coming in Easter, realistically we're probably never going to see hens in here again. And you know, it really does feel like the end of an era. I know that when my wife watches this bit of the video, she'll probably tear up a little bit because it will affect her. But I think we've all, as a family, we've made peace with the idea of the move, and we're looking on the positives, of which there are many. And this, I think, can be a positive as well, because it allows us to kind of help get ready for our move. It allows us to not necessarily downsize the things that we've got going on here immediately, but it makes things a little bit more compact, a little bit more controlled. It means that this area we can now get ready for us to vacate it completely, and you know, it's going to be one less thing to do in the spring. So there's definitely positives, but as I said, it feels like very much the end of an era. Right, so that's it for this video. Thanks ever so much for coming along with me today, guys. I really appreciate it. Again, I apologise for the paucity of footage that's been coming your way over the last couple of weeks. I hope you understand. And I will do everything within my power to be more regular with my uploads, but it's not always possible. The daylight makes such a big difference. It compresses everything, including the number of hours I've got to do my day job, you know, my work. Couple that with the amount of foraging walks I've been leading. These are all positive things, you know. It's great that I'm doing so many of these things, but it just makes it difficult to find time to do everything else that I want to do. But I promise you I'm trying. So I'm going to harvest some vegetables next, go on in, cook dinner, and I'll speak to you all guys really soon. Please make sure before you go you do all those good things. Please make sure you press that like button, leave me a comment down below, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Thanks ever so much for watching, guys. Cheers. Moment of truth. Oh dear, this isn't... Ah! Oh. bloody... Oh, that's strong.
What did you do?
The thing wouldn't register.
Did you press the button?
No!
Cole, you press the... Oh my God. You press the button and put it on. I didn't really need a tester, did I? It's working.
Oh dear, this isn't... Ah!